We are Anka. You can support us with the Super Thanks button below. Heroes emerge in the most difficult times and change everything. In times of great crisis and wars, heroes can sometimes win great victories. In the Ukrainian army, one hero changed everything. Everyone in Ukraine is talking about this hero's story. As Anka Daily News Team, we have reached the most exclusive information about the hero's life. The hero's breathtaking war stories are quite extraordinary. Our team has been researching for a long time to get this special information. Please watch this video carefully. You can use the Super Thanks button below the video to support our team for their hard work to create this news. Let's start if you are ready. Eugene was a very successful student. He was looking forward to serving his country after he finished school. But when he graduated, his country was in a crisis. Eugene wanted to defend his country against the Russian invasion, so he joined the army. His military service was very successful and he was quickly promoted. When Russia began its invasion of Ukraine, Eugene was one of the most successful lieutenants in the Ukrainian army. After the Russian army advanced into Ukraine, thousands of Ukrainians volunteered to join the army. Eugene's father Oleg was one of them. When Oleg's deployment was announced, it was an emotional moment for both of them. He was assigned to the 92nd Mechanized Brigade of the army, named after the 17th century Cossack military leader, Ivan Sirko. The commander of this brigade was Oleg's successful son Eugene. Father and son were on the same front trying to resist the Russian invasion. They participated in many operations together. In these operations, they won many victories against the Russian army. In the battles they fought together, they managed to liberate 3 towns from occupation. These operations were very emotional for them, but it was even more emotional for the woman waiting for them at home. Oleg's wife and Eugene's mother were waiting for them at home. She was very worried but also very proud. She kept praying that her husband and son would come home when this war was over. Oleg and Eugene thought of her in every battle on the field. The Ukrainian army's liberation of Kupiansk was marked by very difficult battles. As a result of this operation, the Ukrainian army was successful. The Russian army suffered many casualties during the operation. Lieutenant Eugene played a big role in this operation. He saved the lives of many soldiers with a decision he made during this operation. Ukrainian soldiers were advancing with tanks when the Russian army launched a missile attack. As these missiles targeted the tanks, Lieutenant Eugene made a critical decision. The tanks of the Ukrainian army advanced into the woods. Here, 3 tanks moved between the trees. Ukrainian soldiers had dug a very big holes in these trees. In fact, this hole was dug to shoot down the Russian tanks. But Eugene made a clever decision to drop the Ukrainian army tanks into the hole, which allowed the soldiers to escape the missile attack. But they were trapped inside the tanks for hours. Ukrainian army reinforcements arrived and destroyed the Russian missiles. After that, the tanks in the pit were brought up and the soldiers were rescued. By taking this decision, Eugene saved all 3 tanks and the soldiers inside. One of these soldiers was his father. The lieutenant's great success and strategy in this operation was appreciated by Ukrainian commanders. Lieutenant Eugene was considered a hero in the Ukrainian army. In another battle, he managed to kill 16 Russian soldiers with a machine gun. He became a legend for this feat in combat. Ukrainian soldiers had great admiration for the lieutenant. The lieutenant liberated many regions and saved dozens of soldiers' lives. But in one operation, things did not go his way. In the town of Pyatikatki, there was a big battle against the Russian army. Many Russian soldiers were killed in the hours of fighting, but the Russian army was joined by new recruits from the other front. Among the ammunition brought by the new soldiers were rockets. The first person who saw that the Russian army was going to launch a rocket attack was Oleg, the father of Lieutenant. Oleg was a retired colonel from the Ukrainian army. He was very good with machine guns and sniper weapons. He was a sniper during this operation. With the scope of his rifle, he was following all the movements of the Russian soldiers and killing them one by one. While looking through the scope, He noticed two Russian soldiers holding rockets. He immediately fired and killed one of the Russian soldiers, but the other soldier was out of Oleg's sight. Oleg realized that this soldier was going to fire a missile and warned the other soldiers. At that moment, he dropped his gun and ran towards his son. As soon as the Russian soldiers fired the rocket, Oleg jumped on his son Eugene. The young lieutenant fell to the ground with his father. Immediately after the rocket explosion, Eugene opened his eyes. Shrapnel from the rocket had cut his face. He felt great pain. He immediately wanted to stand up and shoot, but he could not move, because his father was on top of him and not moving at all. The young lieutenant realized that his father was dead. As he slowly lowered his father to the ground, he noticed the shrapnel in his back. Retired Colonel Oleg had saved young Lieutenant Eugene's life. Eugene kept fighting despite his father's death. He picked up the sniper rifle his father had left him and started shooting Russian soldiers one by one. Eugene was shooting like his father. Russian soldiers couldn't dodge his bullets. The Ukrainian army managed to win this battle too, but the young lieutenant was saddened by the loss of his father. Eugene's moment affected all Ukrainian soldiers. Now everyone in the Ukrainian army knew the story of the lieutenant and his father. It was so reported in the press. The Ukrainian press reported dozens of stories about Eugene's achievements. The young lieutenant became one of the most popular people in Ukraine. This also caught the attention of Zelensky. Zelensky decided to do something about it. Hero of Ukraine is the highest national title that can be awarded to a citizen by the President of Ukraine. It has been awarded in special cases since 1998. President Zelensky of Ukraine decided to give the award to Lieutenant Eugene at a special ceremony. When Eugene received the award, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, General Valery Zaluzny, a close friend of his father, was applauding him. It was a very emotional moment for both of them. When Eugene received this award, the scars of his face had not yet disappeared. These scars on his face were very impressive for the whole Ukrainian people. Everyone who watched this ceremony was convinced that Eugene was a real hero. Eugene's extraordinary story touched the people of Ukraine. Solidarity in the country grew even more. The young lieutenant not only won victories on the battlefield, but also increased the solidarity of his people. Even soldiers in the Russian army followed the news of Eugene's great heroism with interest. The young lieutenant became one of the symbols of this war. What do you think about Eugene's story? Do you think this award from President Zelensky is enough? What do you think about the heroic soldiers in the Ukrainian army? What do you think about the heroism of Eugene's father, Oleg? Share your thoughts with us. Follow us for more updates. All rights to these videos belong to Anka Daily News YouTube channel. Our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook usernames are @AnkaDailyNews. Do not rely on any other social media publications. We legally fight all websites and channels that use it without our permission.